Hello and welcome to another edition of Tales of Ordinary Economics. This week what I wanted to talk about was the price of fish, or more specifically, the price of a tuna sandwich. I was in a cafe in Edinburgh with a friend the other day and had a tuna sandwich. Nice, had rocket salad, some olives in it, really nice sandwich. And it made me wonder about what's the right price for a tuna sandwich. So as an economist, the obvious thought I have about the right price of something is about the idea of the interaction of supply and demand. And we've seen supply and demand curves before, and the way they should work, or the way they're meant to work, is that the point at which supply and demand are equal, that gives you an equilibrium price and an equilibrium quantity of the good or the service to be provided. Now, the way economists think about this is obviously a model, and the model is a simplification of real life. So I thought it would be interesting to test this model and think about some of the issues that arise from it by buying the ingredients for a tuna sandwich for myself. And around the corner from where I live, there are two supermarkets. There's a Morrison's on one side of the street and an Aldi in the other. So what I went and did was I bought the ingredients for the tuna sandwich from both supermarkets, and I want to talk about what that tells us about the model and the idea of supply and demand. Now, the supply and demand model is a simplification, of course it is, and it's based on this idea that you have broadly homogeneous products, you have a lot of buyers and sellers, many buyers and sellers, who have good information, perfect information is the phrase sometimes used, and they are both rational. So buyers and sellers are rational entities. In both supermarkets, I bought myself some rolls, a can of tuna. I picked off-brand, unbranded tuna, but it was, in both cases, it was line and pull caught. I bought some rocket salad and I bought a jar of olives as well. And the overall price for those in the Morrisons came to £4 and a penny, and in the Aldi's they came to £2.58. The breakdown of the costs for each of the ingredients here. And of course, you don't need all of the ingredients to make a single tuna fish sandwich. And I reckon the cost of the sandwich in Aldi's came to about 71p, and in Morrison's about £1.07. As far as possible to get exactly the same kind of goods in both stores. I think the rolls in Morrison's were a little bit better, and that's possibly a reflection of the wider choice available in Morrison's. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So from my point of view, they were essentially a homogeneous set of goods that I was buying. Now, the supermarkets themselves will probably argue about that and try and suggest that their products are in one way or another superior to the other, but this isn't a cooking show. I'm not going to show you all the sandwiches I made and give them scores out of 10 or anything like that, but as far as I could tell, I was essentially getting the same sandwich from both stores. One of the aspects of the model that we talked about earlier is the idea that there are lots of buyers and sellers. And there's certainly lots of buyers for supermarkets, but it's clear that there aren't lots of sellers. In fact, the top 5 supermarket groups have 75% or thereabouts of the grocery market. So they are Tesco's with about 28%, Sainsbury's with about 16%, Asda with around about 15%, Morrison's with about 10%, and Aldi's with about 7%. So in terms of our model, there being many buyers and sellers, there aren't really many sellers. And that leads to this idea that they have what might be called monopoly power. They're not monopolists, but they've got that a little bit of extra power in the market because there's fewer of them. And that monopoly power allows them not to take a market price. Now, I want to be clear that I'm not suggesting that the supermarkets are in any way behaving inappropriately. It's a big undertaking to run a supermarket. Morrison certainly offers a much wider range of goods, and I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I would guess that there's at least 3 or 4 times more products available in Morrison's than there are in Aldi's. And again, that might make quite a big impact. One of the things economists like to talk about is this idea of rationality, that people are rational in their decision makings. And it's very easy to simplify that in terms of just how much you pay for something. But shopping in a supermarket isn't just about individual products. It's also about the whole experience, the ability to get everything that you want in one shop. So good economists look at prices, but they also try and understand a wider set of things that might motivate behaviours. An important consideration in this idea of being a rational consumer is about having good information. In fact, according to the model, perfect information. And it might well be that in this case, one of the reasons why people don't make what appears to be the rational choice is that they don't have perfect information about the relative prices and quality or homogeneity of the goods in the two supermarkets. To summarise, the difference in the price of the two sets of goods in the two supermarkets, it might come down to the fact that the goods aren't necessarily homogeneous. As I say, that's an argument that supermarkets might want to make. My feeling was that they were, to all intents and purposes, the same. Many buyers, not so many sellers, so they might be exercising a certain amount of monopoly power over some goods rather than others. And rational consumers. Consumers aren't necessarily irrational for spending a little bit more in one supermarket over another. There might be other quite rational and sensible considerations that you might make. So Morrison's offering a much wider range of choice than Aldi's might make it much more convenient for you to do all of your shopping in Morrison's, even if that means that the price is a little bit higher. So I hope you've enjoyed this short video blog about the price of fish. If you did enjoy it, please like it. If you like these videos, please subscribe, and please leave some comments and share it with your friends. I'd love to hear your feedback and also your thoughts about what else I might talk about next week or the week after.